All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. All right, welcome to episode 452 of the New York Knicks podcast, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio. Things happened today. Mark has the flu. I am Jay. We instead have Dustin with us. Thank you for filling in, Dustin.
Oh, you guys are welcome. I've been a fan of the pod for a little bit now. I think ever since we got KP right before that in the draft. So it's pretty cool to be on with you guys. Thanks. I hope Mark feels better.
Yeah, me too. He must be really sick to be missing this because we are doing an emergency podcast because KP has been traded. Fill us in. What are the details of this trade?
So I was recording with a buddy of mine doing a podcast, and this came across my phone that the Knicks send KP, Tim Hardaway Jr., Courtney Lee, and Trey Burke to the Dallas Mavericks for DeAndre Jordan, Dennis Smith Jr., Wesley Matthews, and 2 future first-round draft picks, which could be 2020 and 2022 or 20. Yeah,
I thought it was 2021 and 23.
That's if Atlanta does not get the 2019 draft pick. So if the Mavs fall in 1 to 5, it goes to Atlanta, or they get to keep it. After that, it goes to Atlanta, and then the Knicks would get the next 2 firsts that are eligible to be traded.
Okay, so that's not too far. It sounds far away, just 2021, but it's really not. So Wes Matthews and DeAndre Jordan are on expirings and may get bought out, waived. So we might just end up with Dennis Smith Jr. after all this.
Yeah, and me and you have been talking a little bit throughout the afternoon, and we've been watching. You're watching The Ringer. I'm on Bleacher Report, just going through back and forth. And everybody's pissed off about this trade. How do you feel about the trade?
Well, first, when you said KP got traded, that's all I saw. I didn't see the details, and I'm just like, oh my God, we got Anthony Davis already. This is amazing. Like, I'm totally cool trading KP for Anthony Davis. And then I saw the rest of the message, and I saw it was Dennis Smith Jr. Well, no, you said Dallas, and I'm looking at Dallas's roster, and I was like, there's nobody on this roster other than Luka that I want. And I know Dallas is not getting rid of Luka.
Right.
He'll be the last guy on the roster. So I'm like, oh my God, please tell me it's not Dennis Smith Jr. because he just lit up the Knicks with 15 assists the day before, and now they probably think he's John Stockton. And then that's what actually happened. So yeah, I'm upset about this. I don't think a couple of expirings that are probably going to get waived and Dennis Smith Jr. is worth the star of the franchise.
Right. A star of the franchise that hasn't played a full season healthy yet.
That is very true. He is 0 for 4 on healthy seasons, but...
And he's had 2 knee injuries now, I think it has been. And guys over 7 foot, even though he doesn't have the weight like a Shaq or your typical 7-footer, he's over 7 foot. And when you have knee injuries and foot problems, it doesn't get any easier to recover.
I like that you're bringing me off the ledge a little bit here.
Yeah.
But
I think I want to bring all the Knicks fans and get you guys all off the ledge.
I don't think it's so much as trading KP, though, as it is what they got in return.
I'm not even mad about what they got in return. You went from yesterday not having any cap room and we're struggling and we're hoping we don't do something stupid like sign Cantor long term.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably jump off the ledge at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But we send off Tim Hardaway Jr. and we send off Courtney Lee. That alone frees up $48 million over 2 years.
I will say I am happy about getting rid of Hardaway Jr.'s contract.
Yeah, because that was insane. We have to eat the $7 million basically for Joakim Noah, which and I agree with you guys when you kept saying this. We should hold on to him and just let his deal expire. because this trade would be even better if we had just got rid of Noah at the end of this year.
It would be an almost
Along
clean
with
slate. It would.
Yeah,
They would have like 80 million free or something ridiculous.
yeah, like outrageous. I have this idea with this trade. Now, this is my own fantasy thing. I do this all the time when I play NBA 2K. And I always want to be able to, as a GM doing my own franchise, tell a star player, like, look, we're going to trade you. We're going to get a bunch of shit back. When you become an unrestricted free agent, we're going to assign you to this huge deal. Just come home to us. Mm-hmm. Right? KP has already said I'm signing the offer deal. And the summertime.
The 1 year extension, yeah.
Yeah. So in 2020, he becomes an unrestricted free agent. Doing what little bit of research I could do before we started recording tonight, the Knicks only have to spend 90% of their cap, and they can hold on to the other 10% and pay it out over the rest of the roster. So let's say they sign somebody huge like KD, who everybody thinks is never going to come here. But let's just throw it out there because that's what everybody wants to happen. We signed him to a max deal. We signed a bunch of other guys to 1 year deals, not guaranteed money just for this year. We get him off the books. In 2020, when KP becomes an unrestricted free agent, and anybody can talk to him and sign him, who doesn't say he comes back then on a max deal anyway, like we did with Tim Hardaway Jr. Now we have 2 more first-round draft picks that we snaked from Dallas. Coming up the year after that and the year after that, it hurts them because it leaves Luka by himself. But now you pair KD with KP and whoever else they can bring in to fit along with Mitch Robinson, Kevin Knox, Ntilikina, who we get to keep, Dennis Smith Jr. if we haven't shipped him off yet. I mean, potentially, if my fantasy comes true, we could have a very nice team going into 2020.
So you're basically just saying let him rehab in Dallas, get fully healthy again, and if he looks like he's healthy, try and get him back.
Yeah.
And if he's not healthy, then
fuck him. We got 2 first-round draft picks coming up back-to-back, and then we have Dennis Smith Jr., who apparently LeBron James think we should have drafted over Ntilikina. I think the only person who loses in this deal long term and even on the short term is Ntilikina because he has no position to play in now.
Yeah, Burke's minutes free up, but Dennis Smith Jr. is going to play more than Burke was even playing.
Right. And then you still have Iso Trier, and you got other guys that can come in and fill in spots like Dotson. So
now these draft picks, I'm not sure how good or bad they're going to be. Dallas can go either way. I mean, they have a lot of free cap space, but they don't really seem to get any of the free agents. So, I mean, obviously right. Luka's amazing. But after that, you have Harrison Barnes, and it gets...
Who's huge money, yeah.
Yeah, Max Kleber, and it gets real sketchy after that. So they might end up being decent draft picks. Plus, they're in the West. I doubt they'll be top 5. They could be top 10, almost definitely, I would say top 15.
Right.
So I guess that's not too bad.
I mean, Dallas right now, without KP, without Tim Hardaway Jr., and without Courtney Lee, they're sitting 11th. They're 3 spots out of the 8th seed in the West. And they're not that far behind. So you add some shooters that Luka can kick out to, and Lee and Hardaway, because they're streaky, but when they're on, they're on. Mm-hmm. And you just now put probably 9-10 more wins on that team extra that you probably weren't going to get. And if KP comes back and is somewhat healthy next year, that's going to make the draft pick a little bit worse, but, all the more reason to be hopeful that when he becomes a free agent in 2020, we can get him back.
I heard some rumors that KP is actually really close to coming back, and the Knicks did not want him to play because they're in the middle of tanking.
Yeah.
I haven't heard any confirmation that this is actually what happened, but if that is true, I could see that pissing KP off and saying, well, I don't feel like wasting 3 healthy months of my career. Get me out of here.
And then for everybody who's upset that we didn't send him down to New Orleans to get Anthony Davis, who the hell wants to go to New Orleans?
Well,
nobody wants to go down there.
That's not KP's choice.
Right. It's not his choice, but New Orleans is only going to entertain that deal if they can get confirmation from KP that he was going to sign long term or he would sign the extensions and stuff like that.
New Orleans might have a lot of trouble with if that's their situation. They're going to have to trade for a guy who's already locked into multiple years because I don't think anybody's going to going to say they're going to re-sign there.
Right.
So they
I mean,
might.
go ahead.
I was just going to say they might either get a lot less than they think, or they're going to have to take a shot like Toronto did with Kawhi.
Right. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, I think New Orleans is going to end up losing that franchise, and they're going to end up moving to Seattle before anybody else even can go up there.
I wouldn't be surprised with that either.
I was listening to Colin Cowherd today on a Facebook video thing he posted up, and he was like, everybody knew Anthony Davis wanted to get out of there. And he's like, it's the worst run franchise in the league, which is unbelievable because I thought it was the Knicks.
Yes, seriously.
But he's like, the NBA ran the Pelicans for a little while. And then he brought up the New Orleans Saints. He's like, they were run by the NFL for a little bit before other teams bought them out and hired GMs for them.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you can't have a team that the town doesn't even get behind.
Well, I don't feel bad for the Pelicans at all.
Shutting down and shipping out.
Yeah, I can't feel bad for the Pelicans after the NBA vetoed that trade for absolutely no reason other than the fact that they wanted Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So, karma, I guess.
That's not even the first time that's happened. It happened with the New Orleans Hornets also with the Chris Paul trade. He was supposed to go to the Lakers, and they ended up vetoing that and sending him back, and then they ended up shipping him off to the Clippers.
Well, that's what I was referring to.
Okay.
They switched names since then, but yeah.
Yeah. That was just crazy.
I think people are still really mad about that.
Yeah. I think the NBA as a whole is mad about that because that was the first piece of what's the word I'm looking for? Tampering, where it was behind the scenes and very hush hush, and it ended up getting caught out and then shut down by the NBA.
All right. So going forward, do you think Wes Matthews or DeAndre Jordan plays a game for the Knicks, or do you think they're immediately bought out?
I don't think they're immediately bought out. I think they're bought out if there is no trade before the 7th. I think they do play a couple of games in New York. I think they are on the roster and they're going to play a little bit. But I think the Knicks, if they're smart, and this is tough for me to say because of who's in the front office.
Yeah, you just use Knicks and smart in the same sentence. I don't
know. I think it could be cool to see somebody take a flyer on DJ or Wesley Matthews. They're almost there, but they just need a little more to get over the hump. You look at a team like Indiana, who just lost Oladipo for the year. They can use some help with scoring. I know Wesley Matthews isn't like the best name when it comes to scoring off the wing, but he plays good defense. He plays solid defense, and he can get you a couple of points here and there. 15 points isn't out the realm of possibility. There's other teams in the East that you can look at. As I look at Tankathon right quick to see where everybody's seated, you could try to ship off DJ to maybe Miami. They can use some big man help to fill in behind. I don't know how that would really work. I just talked myself out of that one.
Yeah, but I think what you're saying is they are both expiring, so they're tradable assets.
Yeah.
Somebody needs a quick fix for a season before they either have more salary coming onto the roster or they want to make another move. So maybe the Knicks can get another second-round draft pick or low first round.
To be honest with you, Brooklyn might even be an attractive spot to send DeAndre Jordan, just to even grab a draft pick from him.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if
talking about how good they've become, but I'd rather,
I don't know how into trading draft picks Brooklyn is going to be after the whole Celtics thing, but I see what you're saying.
I mean, if you're trying to win a championship, that's all that guy's talked about forever now is bringing a championship to Brooklyn. And I mean, they'll always be New Jersey to me. I don't care where they play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like the fact that Mark wanted to bring up and make this a Nets podcast. It's like, are you kidding me? I think all in all, I think the Dennis Smith Jr. could have a rebirth here in New York, and he doesn't have somebody Luka Doncic that just comes in and takes his job on draft night.
Well, it might be a humbling moment for him too.
Yeah,
I mean, he didn't even make it through his second season. He was already traded. So, I think defense is where his main problem is, which seems to be the main problem with everybody on the Knicks.
Right.
But maybe you never know. Some players get it together and they say, "Oh my God, I'm going to lose out on tens of millions of dollars if I don't figure this out," and then they do. And then other players are named Enes Kanter.
Yeah, I was really, really happy that he accepted his thing because I knew it was going to happen anyway. But I'm like, good, we'll just get a worse draft pick, and that's fine. So I can't be really all that mad, but he's a bum, and I think it sucks that the Turkish government's after him. If that's what's really going on, they want to arrest him and for all of these things. But he's our problem at least to the rest of the year, and let's see what happens. I don't think we should re-sign DeAndre Jordan unless he takes a lot less money. I think he's a flash guy, you know.
Well,
But
he seemed like his one strong suit was defense, and he hasn't played defense in Dallas, so he's
right,
basically useless now. I mean, he gets you a
right,
couple rebounds, but if he's not even going to try in defense, I don't want him anywhere near. He's just a big dude just standing there.
yeah. You know, I'm looking at the top 4 guys that are going to be free agents now that we have all this cap space, basically. You know, other than, I mean, the only 2 people I'd really, really want to go for is like a Kawhi Leonard or Kevin Durant. And I don't think you're getting Durant out of Golden State.
See, I think the Knicks have to know something. Because there's no point in making this trade right now when you arguably could have gotten more later unless they have some sort of inside information that somebody's definitely coming here.
Or they have inside information that KP's not going to get right again.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's the other side of it, yeah.
That's the other part. Because I was like really talking to myself into this trade. And of course, the first thing I went to was like, oh, the KD is definitely coming. He's definitely coming. And then I was like, that'd be really cool. And then we get somebody else, and like Kyrie Irving. I don't, he can't run the team himself, but he's a good Robin. If you want to use the Batman and Robin comparisons, but I was just talking myself into it. And I go, what if we take our shot, we miss, and we get really pissed off because we traded KP? What's another side of this? And I was like, well, we trade KP, and he never gets healthy. I was like, oh, that's a good thought. And I kind of just started going with that. And that's really walked me off the edge. Maybe there's something really, really wrong, or he's just not going to be the unicorn we think he's going to be. And they're like, let's just cut our ties now and get what we can while he's still a hot name, as it were.
Yeah, I would not wish that on him at all.
Right, of course.
But the only way not signing KD this summer is justified is if KP is also just never himself again.
Yeah.
If KP plays at all well and KD doesn't come here, then I'm just going to have completely different opinions about this trade.
I'm not going to say it has to be next year. Like if KP comes back and plays great next year, but he gets hurt again, to me this trade is still justified.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like KP would have to win a championship somewhere else.
Well,
or even, I would go as far. That's pretty far. I would say if he was an all-star over the next 5 years 3 times, I would be like, all right, this is a bad trade if KD doesn't come.
Right. It was like the Amari signing where Phoenix said by year 3 his knees aren't going to hold out, and it was almost exactly year 3 where Amari just. I don't know why you wouldn't listen to the best medical team in the NBA, but that's the Knicks for you.
This is also the first time for the Knicks in recent history that they've traded a star player away and got back a star player, arguably 2 or 1 on the downswing, and they got 2 first-round picks. We didn't lose a draft pick in this trade. I think that speaks volumes to the front office that they didn't lose a first-rounder just to get rid of somebody like Tim Hardaway Jr. or Courtney Lee's contract. We didn't lose a second-rounder. We got draft compensation back in this trade. Did we lose KP? Yes, but we didn't lose anything on the court because he wasn't playing. We lost Tim Hardaway Jr., a streaky shooter that was worth $36 million, not this year, the year after, and the year after that.
You're doing a really, really good job of taking me off the ledge. I was in a bad place before we started recording, so this has been very therapeutic so far.
We got DeAndre Jordan, who's averaging a double-double, 12 points, 14 boards. You put him beside Cancer, who can get you 20 points. Why not? For 1 year, let's have fun. And then let's say we lose out on Alonzo. Let's say we lose on what's this kid out of Duke, Zion Jones, or Zion, whatever. We lose out on him. Fine. I'm not ready to give up on our beloved Knicks over a trade for a guy who hasn't played 82 games. I don't know if he's played 82 games in the 4 years he's been on the team.
He has.
So it's like, come on. He's the unicorn. He's this, he's this, he's this. The kid hasn't played a full season.
That is true. He's played 72, 66, 48, and 0.
Okay. So maybe saying he hasn't played 82 games since he's been with the Knicks has been very much a false narrative for me to say. But my point was made, I think, in being humorous as well.
Yeah, I mean, his games played per season have declined each year. So definitely some red flags there.
Like, I look at the roster going forward from today on with the salaries. It's on Bleacher Report. The three highest salaries, 18.6, identical, 18.6 and 18.6 for Enes Kanter and Wesley Matthews. They come off the books next year.
Mm-hmm.
And DeAndre Jordan's 22.9. It comes off the books next year. So that's 1, 2, it's 36 and 22. What's that, 61? And you figure another $1 million or $2 million because of the hundreds of thousands that are involved. $63 million in one trade comes off in July.
So that could be the two max free agents. So
yeah,
people are saying Kyrie and Kevin Durant. Do you think that's realistic at all? And are you happy with both of those guys?
If it comes down to the money being the only factor, right? KD wants to get paid. We can give him the most anybody else can besides Golden State.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think I think Golden State can give him $50 million more, but I don't think can give him that super max like everybody else has been getting because I don't know if he can do that there. Kyrie Irving wants to get paid. If you go with the whole Batman and Robin thing, I think KD can be a Batman because we've seen him do it even in Golden State, but Kyrie needs somebody else. He can't be the first guy. I think he's the second guy.
Well, he's clearly the second guy if Kevin Durant comes.
Right. I mean, he's the same thing in Cleveland. LeBron James comes there and he becomes the second guy. But what makes him so effective is the same thing that makes, I think, Ntilikina effective, and that's you have talent around him. So if he's the second guy, he can easily fake a pass to KD or Ntilikina was doing it to KP, and he could drive to the lane or do whatever he needs to. So I wouldn't be mad if we had another big name come in to go with Kyrie. I think, honestly, the fit would be better for Kyrie would be Kawhi Leonard. But everybody has him going to Los Angeles to play with the Clippers or Lakers. I think he's more of a Clippers kind of guy. He doesn't seem like the guy that wants to be in a big market and be the face of a franchise. Right. He'd rather be kind of low-key, all business-like.
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see him with the Knicks. I don't see him going to the Lakers or New York. I don't think he's a money guy. But somebody like Kevin Durant, who's clearly said numerous times now he wants to get paid this offseason. Again, Golden State's going to run out of money sooner or later. That luxury tax gets pretty expensive when you start repeating the offenses of it.
True, but if you win a championship every year, I think it makes up for it.
Well, I mean, yeah, but at what point does the owner run out of money paying this luxury tax? Yeah, you go win 20 NBA, look at the Yankees. They've won so many World Series championships, and you can sell that franchise for less than what you'd sell the Knicks for.
Right.
So when you buy an NBA franchise and you got that many titles, it's going to be an expensive bill. But also to get there with this luxury tax repeater thing, it's pretty goddamn expensive. That's why I commend LeBron James for what he did. Everybody's mad about him leaving Cleveland again to go to Los Angeles. I think he did that to Gilbert on purpose. I'm going to come back. I'll get you a title. I did my thing for Cleveland. Sign all my friends to these huge, outrageous contracts. Oh, I'm out. Catch you later.
It's very possible.
Here's your tax bill. You want to write that bullshit letter about me and put it all over the internet? Here you go. And let me say this real quick before we continue on. You idiots burning your Kristaps Porzingis jersey, you're a fool. People burning Anthony Davis's jersey because he wants out of New Orleans, you're an idiot. Stop.
I agree.
These guys have every right to take a trade and request a trade because they're not happy where they are. They're professionals. You let them do their fucking job, let them get paid and provide for their family, and just leave it be.
No, I agree. As long as they're trying on the court, giving their 100% all the time, then, yeah, if you're not happy, you could request a trade. I mean, it's the same thing with our jobs. If we're not happy at our job, we look for another one. It's the way it is.
In my case, if you're not happy with your job, you leave and you raise 2 kids.
That sounds like living the dream, man.
It's been a blast. It's also been the most difficult thing I've ever done in my life. This is heart raising. Two girls, 3 and 1.5 years old. If it wasn't for my wife who wanted me to do something really cute to give her a shout out, I'm just going to shout her out. Brittany, I love you. Thank you for watching them while I record this. It's the most difficult thing ever.
I mean, I'm sure it's
to being a
difficult, but
Knicks
at
fan.
least it's rewarding.
Oh yeah, it's rewarding. It's way more rewarding than being a Knicks fan, but it's easier to be a Knicks fan right now than dealing with a 3-year-old little girl and a 1.5-year-old little girl. It's much easier to be like, oh, okay, Chris Porzingis got traded. We got nothing in return, basically. Yeah, that sucks.
So I guess we should look at it from Dallas's side real quick. They give up a guard that they pretty much wanted off the team and 2 expirings.
Yep.
And talent-wise, Wes Matthews wasn't playing terribly well. DeAndre wasn't really trying on defense. So they could still make that playoff push.
Yeah, like I said, they're going to get – they just beefed up. You figured Tim Hardaway Jr. was averaging pretty good points. I think he was averaging like 19. And Courtney Lee, who can score. Like, the guy's a player. It's remarkable he's been traded as much as he has. And you got Trey Burke, who also fills a point guard need that can also score. They don't play defense all that great, but you got scorers now down there that can put points up. And I think that's what Dallas wanted in return. Somebody can put up points. And potentially, if KP comes back and is like he was, you have KP, Luka, Tim Hardaway Jr. Those guys can put up points, man.
I'm actually kind of curious to see how Hardaway Jr. looks with a really good point guard like Luka, and also not being the number one focus for other teams' defense.
Yeah, I mean, potentially he could have. I mean, even last year before KP got hurt, he was having a good season. He looked really good, and we got really excited. Oh, this is why we gave him the money. This is why we gave him the money. But, I think Dallas needed scorers and points, and that's what they got in return.
Yep. It's definitely a worthwhile gamble for KP, too. Obviously, I don't think we even need to say that.
No, yeah. I mean, let's be honest, though. If KP is the jewel in this trade.
Yeah.
So if KP is hurt, and never regains form and just fizzles out into the rest of his life, which, again, I hope this doesn't happen because he's a fantastic guy. He's a stand-up dude from what I've heard, everybody reporting on him. And he just wanted out of New York because he got tired of losing, and I can't blame him for that.
Yeah.
But if he's hurt and he doesn't come back, Dallas got screwed. The only way you take on Tim Hardaway Jr. is if you have somebody like KP coming too.
True, but they didn't really give up much. They gave up 2 expirings that had no future with this team.
Right. And they gave up 2 first-round draft picks, which we don't know who they could be.
Yeah.
But you basically now, if KP doesn't come around and let's say Tim Hardaway Jr. falls off the cliff, you have Luka.
Yeah, I would
no
say
more future.
I would say worthwhile gamble.
Okay.
I mean, if KP works out, it's totally worth 2 first-rounders.
If it was reversed. If we got KP coming from Dallas, who was coming off injuries, and we gave up 2 firsts, would you be okay with that?
No. That's a good point. I would not.
I think Dallas fans right now, they're celebrating, they're partying. Beware what you get.
Yeah. No, that is true. I definitely would not trade 2 first-rounders for KP right now. I would be way too scared. I know if he's healthy, he can transform their entire team.
That changes everything. But I'm talking about, like, trades happen in the moment. Mm-hmm. He hasn't played at all this season. I think he missed the last half of last season.
Yeah. He played 48 games, played most of – it was probably only game 50-51 of the season, and then went down.
Oh, so it's right about now. It's been about a year then, almost.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't it like the 50th game now coming up?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he hasn't played ball in a year. And I don't care how many YouTube videos or Instagram videos you post of working out. How many 7-footers that have had knee injuries and feet injuries come back and actually dominated? Look at Yao Ming. It cut his career hella short.
Yeah.
All the foot surgeries he had. So, big guys. I'm 6'7". My knees are shot. My feet suck. Like, there's no way These guys break down. They're the best athletes in the world. They really are. But I don't know if he's coming back like he's the unicorn. He might end up being like Dirk now, just a big guy that shoots and everything else. And you gotta hope he can put buckets up the way Dirk can or used to.
Interesting. Very interesting.
I knew I'd be able to talk you off a little bit. I don't know if you're 100% off the ledge.
You've done an amazing job.
I hope Mark's not cursing me out when he hears this and be like, this guy's so positive we can never have him back on the show.
you might take him off the ledge too. All right.
Well, I know the last co-host you guys had, I don't want to put his name out there again, but everybody was blasting him because it's like he didn't care about the show. Everybody was saying or something like that.
Yeah. That's probably true. He does our comedy show, The Brink of Sanity, with us, and
I love him. It's like he was watching football with Mark the last time he was on. He's just like, "Yeah, oh my god, you see that play? Look at this fumble."
Yeah, that was
it's like this is a basketball show, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah, that was not very fun for me. If I edited the show, those would be the parts I would edit out.
Yeah.
Mr. C writes, "Hey guys, Adam Silver has spoken before about getting a cup competition started to complement the NBA. Would you like to see the regular season shortened by 6 games and replacing them with a knockout competition featuring the best 64 teams in the world? Or you could do this instead of All-Star Week. Perhaps the Knicks may even win a trophy one day if there is more than one to play for." That's an interesting idea. So I guess it would just be like the world. I don't know how you get the NBA involved with that, though.
Yeah. Isn't that like the FIBA World? Don't they do that already? The FIBA World Championship, something like that? Then FIBA start doing that like soccer, like the World Cup or whatever? Oh, so, I guess it's just the Olympics.
I guess you're saying cut the season by 6 games and insert like a World Cup into the middle of the season so that the players get a little extra break and you get a little mini tournament in there.
6 games, though? Just cut 6 games off?
I think the season's too long. I'd be happy with 12 games cut off, to tell you the truth. That season they had 66 games. I was like, this is pretty perfect amount of games.
Yeah, well, I mean we're Knicks fans, so yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's different if you're a Warriors fan. You want to see them all, but
you want to see them play.
Usually around game 66, I'm like, you know what, I'm ready for this season to end.
Yeah, and as I've been a Knicks fan forever and a Mets fan forever, so normally my seasons are pretty perfect. It used to be the Mets will get me through to August, and I got, off-season football with my Giants, and then by the time the football season's over, it's the All-Star break, and my Knicks were normally doing okay. So each season kind of just took me through the year. It was perfect, but now it's like, yeah, can we just make it 50 games?
Yeah, now nobody's making the playoffs.
And it's hard when you don't have parity. I think what's so great about the NFL is you've had so much parity and different people playing in the Super Bowl and different teams making the playoffs with the NBA. Unless you go to a 1 through 16 seeded playoff thing, it's not going to be great for anybody, I don't think.
There's been good parity in the AFC.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Patriots have been in every single what do you call it? Conference finals.
Yeah.
John writes.
They haven't. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's right. John writes, "I have no idea how to feel about this trade and need your opinions. There has to be something else at play. We dumped all of our salary. I don't think we have a single contract besides rookies that go past next year. If we get Davis, then I guess I'm okay with this, but I really don't know how to feel. This is crazy. It is such a risk either way, but I would have leaned on keeping him." So we definitely touched on a lot of this.
Yeah,
we are not.
I think we did. Did we? Do we want to do it again? I can do it again.
We're not getting Davis now. I think that's pretty much.
No. Unless he doesn't get traded in the offseason. If he doesn't get traded in the offseason, I mean, Boston's going to make a hard run, and Boston has some stuff they can offer. But unless he doesn't get traded and he finishes out next year with New Orleans, we might have a chance. But we need somebody else.
I think the only way the Knicks get Davis is if he just decides he's going to sign there when he's a free agent, because the Knicks now have nothing to trade.
Yeah.
What are you going to say? Like, hey, you have one of the best players in the league. Here's Kevin Knox and Trier and Ariza, not Ariza, Ntilikina. Like, that's not going to get
Yeah.
it done.
No. Well, I don't unless you get somebody an interesting combination you could put together if you're looking next year and the year down the road is say we get Kawhi this year. I think that would be enough to bring over AD. I know in the free agency again, providing he doesn't get traded and sign a max somewhere else.
Right.
You would arguably, I think those two would complement each other very well together versus somebody like Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So seeing maybe like a Kawhi Leonard and Anthony Davis on the same team, I think that would be a hell of a tandem to go. Ooh, that would be cool. The Knicks sign Kawhi Leonard and then somehow find a way to snake Anthony Davis away from somebody in the offseason when he becomes a free agent. That'd be cool.
That would be really cool. Both of those guys are younger than
Yeah.
Durant, and well, Irving's young, but he's injury prone. So
Yeah, which puts age on you automatically.
yeah. I am scared to death of Kyrie's injury history. If he gets injured before the end of the playoffs, do you even want to make a run at him?
No. If he gets hurt at any point this year, I don't want to run at him.
Even if it's something like semi-minor where he's out for like a week or two, but if it's during the playoffs, it's now that'll be what 3 or 4 years in a row.
Yeah, if you spend any amount of time on the disabled list that's not resting, then there's no point. I'm not gonna keep dropping hundreds of millions of dollars on guys that just keep getting hurt. It'd be the same thing we signed Amari Stoudemire and then we traded everything away for Carmelo Anthony. It'd just be the Knicks being the Knicks. So it means it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. Mark writes, Jay with the KP trade.
Your Mark? Your Mark or a different Mark?
This is a different Mark.
Okay, all right.
With the KP trade requesting an emergency pod from you and Mark if you guys can do it. Well, one of us could do it, but Dustin has done a great job filling in for Mark. So,
Mark, I'm really and the other Mark, I'm really sorry, dude. I talked to Jason or Jay really a lot on Facebook about football, basketball stuff, and I hit him up and I was like, I would totally co-host if you guys wanted me to. And I think he's just like, yeah, let's do it. And so I'm really sorry, Mark, you didn't get a chance to be here.
Yeah, that was before we even realized that Mark was dying. So
no, I was talking about the other Mark, the one that just wrote in. Like, I'm really sorry he didn't get to co-host because I would love to hear what he has to say, like in real time. But I'm glad the other Mark, I hope he feels better, but I'm glad he's not here because I get a chance to be on the show.
So that is all our questions. Do you have any other thoughts you want to add to this?
No, I think I said them pretty well. I don't want to reiterate more than I needed to about, possibly being better that we got rid of KP now versus he comes back and he has another catastrophic injury, God forbid. But I think it's cool. We kind of cut our ties now. We got some draft picks coming up and we didn't lose any in the process. But
yeah, apparently this week KP sat down with management and they had a nice heart-to-heart. And, well, I guess we know how that went.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he said he wanted to be traded. He's like, I don't want to lose anymore. I'm tired of seeing the team lose. And I think you hit on it perfectly. There was like, we want to tank. And he's like, I don't want to. I'm clear to play. Let me come back and play. Let me get cleared. And they were like, no. And he's like, then get rid of me.
That'll be very interesting.
What I don't get is why, if Cantor did that, are they not acquiescing to Cantor? Are we not getting enough on the trade market for Cantor? I mean, I would take a second round pick to get rid of Cantor.
Well, it's the $20 million. That's the problem.
This is true.
I think that's the issue. I think the Knicks would love to get rid of Cantor, but there's not that many expirings, and we just took half of the large expiring contracts. So
yeah.
I think the Knicks still try really hard to move Cantor. I will say I am very curious to see if KP plays after All-Star break. That would shed a lot of light.
I would like to see how he looks.
That too. But if he's well enough to actually play at all, then yeah, this makes a lot more sense that they were just saying shut it down for a couple months while you're healthy.
Right.
I mean, I'm expecting him when he does play to look extremely rusty. We probably won't see. He's not going to come back like Cousins did. I don't know how Cousins did it, but Have you seen any Golden State lately? Like the guy
Oh man, you know how Cousins did it? He's playing with Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Steph Curry,
that definitely
and
helps.
Clay Thompson. What are you gonna do? Put 10 guys on the court? I think they'd still beat you.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
No, Boogie is a treat, man. When he was a free agent last year, I wish the Knicks had cleared cap space to get him. I've been a big Boogie Cousins fan. Um, I love everything about him. He has that old school mentality, like we're gonna fight if we lose. I'm the biggest dog in the yard, and I want that kind of a mentality to come back to them. My favorite time of the Knicks was when we had Allen Houston, Chris Childs, Charlie Ward, Latrell Sprewell, Grandmama when he was on his way out,
Mm-hmm.
Oak, Ewing. I mean, the only white guy on the team was Chris. Was it Chris something? Oh, he was like the biggest white. He's the one that threw the ball at Shaq. Shaq dunked on him, and they got all pissed and they threw the ball at him.
I have his face totally pictured too.
Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter. A team that was down to fight at any cost. You got little, Pat Van Gundy diving at somebody's legs, trying to hold their leg to the ground. It's like, come on, that's the Knicks I want to see come back, and I think Boogie gives that to the Warriors, and I think that's why KD walks away. Klay Thompson also. There's not enough money to go around up there.
Yeah.
You can't have 5 max guys. I mean, I guess you can with the birds' rights things, but that would be insane. 5 max guys.
Yeah,
Wow.
no, it's not going to happen. They're going to have to break that team up.
Yeah. I mean, Draymond Green just signed the max deal, or else I'd say he'd probably be the one that's out. But Klay Thompson and KD's walking away, and Boogie Cousins only has a 1-year deal, so I think it'd be fun. Potentially, this offseason could get very interesting, even if the Knicks make a big signing. And a big signing meaning one of the other 4, not Kyrie Irving. So we look at like Kevin Durant. I mean, even Jimmy Butler, I wouldn't sign him to a max deal, but I would sign him to a hefty deal. If you got a couple of guys to come in and take less money, I wouldn't mind signing him. Not like a big 3 kind of thing down in Miami, but
Mm-hmm.
I would sign Jimmy Butler like 4 years, 125, 130.
Oh, you are a brave man.
I would. I mean, if you bring somebody in like
I don't know. Butler
at
just seems
30
like
million,
asking for
yeah.
trouble. Chris
I mean,
Dudley. That's who you're talking about.
Who?
Chris Dudley.
Chris Dudley. Yeah, Dudley.
There we go.
Man, those were good seasons.
Those were good times.
We need to get back to that.
Every season we're like, we might not be the best team, but we have a puncher's chance at doing this. And
Yeah.
deep runs into the playoffs. Well, maybe we're setting something up for this summer. We'll get back there.
I'm really hoping Dolan sells the team. I know there's been talks about a group coming in trying to buy him from Dolan, and that'd be pretty interesting to see if you get another. Because I think he's the one ultimately that shuts everything down that we want to get going. Because I like David Fizdale. I told you about David Fizdale last year before we signed him as a coach. That I'd hope we get him, and I think he's been kind of hamstrung. And Scott Perry, I liked him too. I like what they've done so far. As I know losing KP hurts, but I think I like the moves they've made about freeing up space and keeping our draft picks, and that's one thing they kept talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well,
how about Mitchell Robinson too? I told you about him during the draft night. I was like, "Oh, this kid's still available. I hope we get him."
Yeah,
and
you did. You called
right after that. I was like, "Oh yeah,
that was a good call." So if you want us to buy the Knicks, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/NY Knicks podcast. If we get up to our goal of $500 million a month, we will buy the Knicks and we will do a better job than James Dolan.
Yeah, I think we only need half. I think we need a whole year of $500 million. You guys need to buy the Knicks.
Yeah, no, we will, but it will happen. So we are also NY Knicks Podcast at gmail.com. The New York Knicks Podcast.com is our website. And we're NY Knicks Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Spotify. And Dustin, you have a podcast, At Home Dad Podcast.
Yeah, I do the At Home Dad Podcast. I became a stay-at-home dad, and I was going through a lot of personal turmoil with depression and things like that, and a lot of it was PTSD. I'm a vet. I was a Navy corpsman. I did 2 combat tours overseas, and it's the At Home Dad podcast is about all that: how to be a good father, how to be a good husband, how to be a good man. My life. It's very much how you hear me on this podcast. I just kind of go randomly. Sometimes I have a point, sometimes I don't. And it's unedited. It's just fun, and it's my own little therapy. But yeah, I try to help people out with free therapy about being a dad and what to be scared of and what not to be scared of, and just try to put out emotions that men should be able to feel.
I've listened to it. It's good, and hopefully I will be a dad soon, and then I will go through your entire archives and take notes and all that fun stuff.
Well, I mean, we're also friends on Facebook, so you have my Skype name. You can just give me a call.
That is true too.
Do whatever I can to help you out.
Okay,
but yeah, you guys check it out. It's on iTunes if you guys want to check it out. At Home Dad Podcast. You can also find it on Facebook.
All right, so that'll do it for today. I want to thank you again for not only joining me but taking me off the ledge fairly quickly within the first few minutes of the episode. So I was almost in meltdown mode, and you brought me back.
Cool, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so we will be back. I'm not sure if we're definitely not doing Super Bowl Sunday. We planned on Monday, but this might push it back a week. We'll see how Mark's doing. But we'll be back soon. I'm sure the wins are just come pouring in now that we have Wes Matthews and Jordan. But,
yeah, at least 2. Well, maybe we'll get 2 wins in there and then ship them off, hopefully.
Are you talking about while they're here or for the rest of the season?
Oh, no. While they're here, we'll get 2, and then that'll probably be all we get the rest of the year.
All right. There we go. All right. Thanks again, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end.